2, 1. Action.
3, 2, 1.
Sing clap. What's up? Welcome to the CorridorCast again. It's another week. It's a week between weeks.
A week between weeks.
A week between 2 other weeks.
That's beautiful.
It's true. We filmed the second season of Son of a Dungeon last week. Well, the first half of it. We're filming the next week. It's really intense. It's like, imagine writing Game of Thrones and then having to memorize half of it, and then your actors are always constantly like giving you like feedback on the script. They're like, I think my character would say this. I'm like, that's fine. And then later, like down the line, 2 scenes later, you're like, oh crap, that totally changes this scene because of that other. And then you're constantly rewriting the script as you're filming it.
So kind of like Game of Thrones.
So like Game of Thrones, basically. Yeah.
As the seasons are coming out, they are rewriting the show.
Exactly. But other than that, yeah,
a lot of things happened last week in the world of what is the world called? We don't even have a name for it.
the world, Earth.
Like the world of Cecilton and Wentinghamshire.
Oh, I'll think of that. Yeah, we'll think of something like that. It'll be like, freaking Fairyland or something. But that
Fairyland.
vibe. Fairyland.
Make believe place.
Make believe place. Land of toys. Sam's toy chest.
Sam's toy chest.
Magnificent toy chest.
The twisted mind is of Sam Gorski.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what were you guys just doing? We delayed this podcast for like a half hour because there was some scanning going on. I don't know what happened.
I'll let Jordan explain.
Yeah, we were doing some foot stuff.
Sounds weird.
As you do.
Ren was photo scanning his foot.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny because I for a second I thought Ren needed Jordan's foot for a project he's working on.
He needs it more than he knows.
But then I realized, he's just scanning the foot. It's Jordan needs his own foot.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And
I
for
can
some
upload it
reason,
to Turbo Squid.
That's not a bad idea.
you can put it on Sketchfab at least.
Well,
at
I
the
was
very
looking.
least.
I was looking for
Jordan
a
Allen's
good
foot.
foot model, like a really good, ultra realistic foot model,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find one. So my own feet are sacrifice.
That's funny. And for some reason, you need variations. You need like dirty,
clean, and those are the variations.
The only 2 states of existence.
Dirty and clean.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. That's all there is.
Sam, what was this image of this photo scan you put out earlier that said you took less photos of it? That thing looked
really good.
real. Sam
Yeah.
took a photo scan. What happened?
It's a
it
photo
looked way
scanning
better
week.
than the other photo
Actually,
scans.
it's a photo scanning week. Photo scanning, for those of you don't know, it's when you take a bunch of pictures of an object and you give it to a program, and the program magically makes it a 3D model. So they're scanning feet. And I'm scanning the like huge table maps for Son of a Dungeon. But previously we were doing like 700 to like, even at one point we did like 1,200, over 1,000 pictures for a map. And I was like, this is not the way to do this. So I tried a new technique where I take way less photos. I took like 350 photos this time, which is basically half, but using a different technique of just making sure there's like really clear, crisp, wide shots and keeping it minimal. It's just like, it looks almost photo real. And like the detail is like, it's like as if you were to take it and bring it like right next to your eye and look at it. And
are you getting that level of detail across the entire map image now, or was
basically,
that just one?
Yeah. So the first table is like a B, maybe a B minus if I were to rate it, and then this most recent one is like an A. It's not like an A plus or like an S plus, or God tier anything.
S plus. Do they still do that? Do they still give out
only
S
Japanese
pluses?
racing games?
And
at Corridor Digital.
Is that from like is that like a Japanese school thing? You've been to Japan. Do you
I don't
take
know
a
if
peek
it's
in
a
any
school
classrooms?
thing.
And like
I never got
Gear
an S
Solid,
plus.
you get
Yeah,
your
you
guys.
got all the answers right. You got all the answers right, plus the extra credit question, so you get an S.
And then you did all the extra credit, and also you did all the tests right, and also you're handsome, so it's S plus.
And then you got the test right and the extra credit and you're handsome and you did it faster than anybody else. So you're triple S.
It's triple.
I used to
Platinum.
get S pluses in elementary school.
That's true, actually.
Less
Satisfactory. That was like
Yeah.
a solid.
And then S
B.
minus, you're like less than
Ooh, S minus.
satisfactory. It's like
and then NS
No, it was you.
was it you?
It was you.
Unsatisfactory.
Yeah, unsatisfactory.
But why change? Why not do ABC? Like,
Why not do
Feelings.
the ABCs?
Because we're kids.
It's
Because we're
like
like freaking
ABC.
2 years old.
like,
Yeah,
it's like you
first
get a
grade.
U or S minus, and
I
you're
think
like,
it's like, look, you did better than half, so you got it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. But like, when you get older, then it's like, well, how much above half did I get? I need to know.
well, I mean,
and
but
then-
there's already multiple. You have a not satisfactory, and then S minus, S, and S plus. It's like that's like A, B, C, D, and then
Well,
an F.
unsatisfactory
Oh, by the way,
is like
let's,
is an
question.
F.
Why did they skip E?
Thank you.
Where's E? Where
That's
Where
a
the
good
heck is
question.
he?
I guess I just like once you're doing a D level, you're just a failure. So
Because
just
well,
by
no,
coincidence
F,
happens to be
F means failure.
yeah. But D doesn't mean like I think it does
Dumb.
mean deficient, and C is like
yeah, A is you're acing
Awesome.
it.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Acing,
it.
yeah,
B
aced it.
is better than most. C is
No,
what
no,
is
that's
C?
not how it goes. No, no.
Be
Could be better.
Compliment.
No, it goes like
Compliments.
this. It goes
D
like
is
this.
things left to be desired.
oh, D is deficient.
Here's
deficient.
how it goes.
Deficient.
Guys, I've got it.
And then they're like
Okay.
E, and then they're like, oh, let's just skip that. Like if you're at an E, you basically are failing anyways. So
I want to hear Jake's set of letters.
A is average, B is bad, C is a damn catastrophe.
And what is D?
catastrophic.
No,
D
C
is-
is catastrophe. D is damn catastrophe.
Damn.
And F is
D and F do not exist. It's you are done. You are done when you get a D.
I respect
Goodbye. Yeah.
aced it.
So why
least
did they
that's
even
how
have
better
an
than
F?
most, competent.
Because so they're like F
Deficient.
means fail, but then they're
Failure.
like, but you're failing if you have D's too.
Not really.
Well, in grad school you do. In grad school, like, they'll kick you out of law school if you don't maintain a B minus average.
Well,
They'll just kick you out
I think
because they know you're not likely to pass the bar exam, and so
Mm.
they don't want to drag down their school's numbers on like passage rate. So then they'll just like go, all right,
You almost got
Get
kicked
it?
out.
yeah, I did. I did. When we were filming Sync, I almost
Mhm.
failed. I almost flunked out. Well, it wasn't flunking. See, it wasn't flunking. It was like I almost C plussed my way out of law school.
It's like, sure, you're getting C pluses.
Yeah. Right.
Now,
But in
nationally,
like
this is
high
average.
school, like you're like, C, yeah.
This is competent lawyer work, but we want better than most.
Well, the thing is that the California bar exam is so hard that, and the passage rate is so low to begin with, that they it's just like a ravenous competition to like get, because what you don't want is like, oh, the kids from this law school have a lower than average passing rate. Then all of a sudden people will be like, oh, that means like that's not a good school. I'm not likely to pass the exam if I do that.
What
What
is
a-
average?
What?
What's an average passing rate for the bar? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think it's like 45%.
So what happens if you don't
40%.
pass it? You just don't. You just do something else.
You're forever banned from
Average
being a
California
Forever.
bar.
You can try it
pass
again.
rate.
You get barred.
Yeah, you ended
Here
up
we
spending
go.
$1,000 and you just gotta
Yeah.
give it another shot.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
First timers. Let's see.
Wait, you're 45%. You're talking lawyers out there get half the questions wrong.
No, 45% of the people who take the exam pass it the first time.
Oh God. Okay.
But then people who take it more than once, second timers, it's like it falls off even further. They've got really hard stats on this.
Oh, I bet they do.
All applicants. Okay, it's gone up slightly. Pass rate for general bar exam by law school. This is because people were complaining about it. First timers
that
is
was
now
too hard.
66%.
God, I'll just let anybody become a lawyer these days.
It's like
I
climbing
know,
Everest
dude.
now.
I
Well,
know. They'll just let anybody in. But then pass rate for
What
repeat
are laws
applicants,
anyway? It's just
19%.
societal construct.
Hey, so supposedly that guy
Wow,
from Catch
Sam.
Me If You Can, Frank Darabont, passed the bar just by studying really hard. Do you think that's
Yeah.
possible? Can you pass a bar
Well,
with like 2 weeks of cramming?
That was the Louisiana bar. And I'm not
Oh,
dishing.
are we
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not dissing on Louisiana. But they have a different process there.
It's more. It's like more feudal. I don't know.
Let me look it up. There's different
Actually, but
requirements.
that's BS. Apparently, he actually didn't pass the bar. That's just one of his many cons. He conned us into thinking he actually did that.
What a man.
Yeah.
So you don't need to go to
Just a
law
fat liar.
school. Okay, a graduate of a law school accredited by the AVA. Okay, so you do need it now, but for a long time, and I assume it was in the same way in Louisiana in the 1960s, you didn't need to have gone to a law school in order to sit for the exam. It was just like, well, if you can pass it, I guess you can do it.
Wait, so that's not a thing anymore?
Over time, it has become more of a thing where the requirement is now you need to have a Juris Doctorate degree in order to sit for the exam.
Interesting.
There's some loopholes in different states, but back in the day, before like the concept of law school was like a thing, and it slowly became more of a thing, people could just sit for the exam.
Huh. Feels like. I don't know. What do you think, Jake? Was that the right move?
Well, sorry, say that again.
Was
You
that the
cut
right
out for a
move? Do you
second.
think that was the right move?
Sorry, go say what you said before that because you cut out for a second.
Oh, I'm just saying. Do you think making it so you have to go to law school to become a lawyer was the right move? Or do you think people should be able to take the test regardless?
It's an interesting question. I think there's merits to both. I mean, the downside to requiring people to go to school is obviously that you now have this pretty arduous like time and money burden where you're like, hey, now you need to go, anywhere from 2 to 4 years, depending on the program that you're in. It's going to cost you anywhere between $100,000 to $300,000, depending on the school and the time. And that's what you have to do just to sit for the exam, right? Like, right. You're not a lawyer yet. You just to sit for the exam. So, but the upside to that is like people that want to do it take on a big risk. And then the people that actually are able to get the license to practice, now, there's a lot more that went into it than just, hey, I studied under a lawyer, or I studied for a few months and then I sat for it and passed it. Now, but then the other side is like, who can sit for it and after studying for like a couple months and just pass it? Like, you're not,
Yeah, I guess so.
And then the other side of that too is like, there's all these sort of like other triggers in place within the profession itself that like, sort of guard against like malpractice and things like that. Now, people that have bad experiences or people that sue for malpractice, I'm sure would have differing opinions on that. But
What's the secret lawyer handshake look like?
a secret lawyer handshake?
Yeah, what will you show us the secret lawyer handshake?
No, I can't do that. That would be.
Almost had him.
I could get disbarred for
But it's
that.
a podcast. Nobody can see it.
Yeah, we can't see below your elbows.
No, you might. Somebody in the future might be able to decipher the wind patterns that I
makes sense.
make with my hands. Yeah. And then using AI turn it into a physical image. It'd be
Yeah, you
bad.
gotta be careful.
Hey guys, Jake here, courtesy of today's sponsor, Manscaped, to tell you about the Performance Package 4.0, just in time for Valentine's Day. Now, This little beauty has everything you're gonna need to keep yourself looking fresh, feeling fresh, and just being awesome this Valentine's Day when you're out on your hot date. Let me tell you about what's in this performance package. First and foremost, it has the Lawnmower 4.0. This is Manscaped's signature trimmer, okay? The 4th generation. This little beauty has a 4000K LED light, so it's easy to see in those hard to reach places. It also has the advanced skin-safe technology on the trimmer, meaning that you're less likely to cut or nick yourself in those uncomfortable places, and it has a cordless recharger. But that's not all they got in here. They also have the Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer just for you. This thing has a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. But in addition to this, you're also going to get the free shed travel bag and the anti-chafing boxer briefs directly from Manscaped. These boxers, honestly, they're great boxers. The lawnmower trimmer is great. All their products are phenomenal. And I have been using them, obviously, since they've been sponsoring the podcast. I've been trying everything out and using everything, and I gotta say, it's all top notch. It's clean, it's fresh, and it's nice, and it's good quality. It's really good quality. So that's what's in this beautiful Performance Package 4.0. And if you guys are interested in getting your hands on it or any other Manscaped products that they have to offer, head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code CorridorCast to get 20% off plus free shipping. So once again, huge thanks to them for sponsoring. You're welcome, and let's get back to the podcast.
So Jordan, I'm kind of curious about this foot thing still. Still, your feet are still on my mind.
Right.
It happens.
So it's part of the next video, which
Yep.
is a disgusting render challenge.
Yeah.
Are we sure that's a good idea?
No, we're not. This is a
Because
terrible
Ren
idea.
almost, I guess, apparently was like about to throw up or something.
Like, do we have
when-
a rule at Corridor where we don't make anything intentionally bad?
Well, it's intentionally bad in the sense that it's intentionally without craft.
Yeah.
We said this about the unsatisfying render challenge, though, and for months we stayed away from it, and it turned out people loved it.
Yeah. There's a certain satisfaction in it, I think. We were looking at some videos yesterday and absolutely repulsive, getting in the spirit of things.
Yeah,
you
a
know?
guy who was like, yeah, I've got a cyst on my leg and it's been like 30 years.
I genuinely almost threw up.
It's like, yeah, he somehow, for some reason, waited 30 years to deal with it.
Oh.
Imagine having a 30-year problem like that on
What
your
a
body.
lazy asshole.
They're just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I know.
And,
What a weird
Why?
state of mind. Imagine like it's like, yeah, you don't clean your room for 30 years.
Mm.
You don't like take a shower for 30 years. It's like it's in the same category.
Yeah.
You have this giant ball of pus on your leg.
Mhm.
For 30. Anyway, so the videos they cut it open.
You
yeah.
have a strong stomach. I will say, I was almost on the floor. I felt sick, and Sam just stared it down,
Yeah.
just eyeballed it the whole time.
Sam
I
was just like,
mean-
all right, let's do it. Sam rolled a
I was
constitution check.
quivering. I was quivering, but
Yeah.
I steeled my nerves.
The clotted cream.
It was very
Oh my god! See, everyone's turning out the podcast now. Like, not only are you guys ruining the video, you're ruining the podcast.
Anyways, what about your feet is so disgusting?
It's not
Because I saw
it's-
them, and frankly, you know, there's a little dirt here and there.
Yeah,
but
they could be better, but they're not the worst. And I
Do you
can't
have-
give away
do you
too
have
much as
normal
far
feet,
as
Jordan.
I have like long feet, which I don't know if
Long
that's an
feet.
advantage. Like I can run a little faster.
What-
I can
how
like
big
Got
are
a
your
little
feet?
Michael Phelps thing going on.
well, I guess they're not that long. I'm size 11.
Is that what the
but
doctor said?
They're,
Sorry, he's got long
they're
foot,
like
ma'am. I'm sorry.
they're,
You'll
yeah.
never be able to run.
Yeah, he gave me a ticket to clown school
surgically
immediately.
shortening my feet to run
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah, it's part of the render though. It's like just a part of the reveal of what I'm working on, because we kind of decided to go with some phobias that we had in the nasty community, and for me, feet are repulsive. I just
Oh.
have a difficult time with them. So
Thankfully, society has agreed that in public we cover them.
yeah, yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God.
At least you cover the bottom of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're uncovered now. I mean,
Uh-oh.
there's a highly detailed 3D scan.
Jordan's foot
Turbo
reveal.
Squid, yeah, get it now. You know,
Once we hit 7 million,
TurboSquid.com.
how many subs on? Yeah, whatever our next million sub mark
it's the giveaway.
on the crew channel will be the foot reveal.
The Turbo Squid crew foot reveal.
Oh my gosh.
Can I add that to the time capsule?
Yes.
Just my foot.
Yes.
Get that in there.
Yeah, dig up the time capsule so we can add more stuff into it.
Is that thing really still in the dirt back there?
I think so. What, they buried a microwave or something, right?
Someone's gonna dig that up one day.
It'll be funny, and they'll load it up, and it's these videos of these 3D models of Peter and Ren dancing or whatever. It's like, what the hell?
Are you gonna do a render for this challenge?
I want to, but I'm concerned that my time is a little fractured.
Mm.
But I have ideas. I just need to buckle down and do them.
I think
buckle
it'll go
down.
over well. I hope.
Yeah, it might be simple, but it'll be disturbing
Yeah.
or disgusting.
Yeah.
I get the two confused.
And there's a fine line too. We don't want to venture into gore territory. We're going with stuff that just turns the stomach. You
Yeah, keep it
know,
watchable, you know.
keeping it PG. You know,
You're keeping it PG.
are feet PG? There's feet in
Are
PG
you
movies.
are you sure that's PG? I don't know if disgusting renders is PG.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think I misspoke.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Teens only.
Teens only.
You have to be 13 years old to watch this. What are we rating? PG-13
13 plus.
Yeah, that's
you
a
can say, you
weird
can say the
barometer.
F-bomb twice in a PG-13 movie.
I got carded on a date when I was 24. And I
To
got
a
carded for a
PG-13
rated R movie.
Oh. He said, I got carded for a PG-13
Wait, really?
Carded for a PG-13. You want to see happy feet? Yeah. Show
Happy
me that
Feet is
ID.
PG-13.
Yeah, I know.
Can you tell us about this experience where you got carded for an R movie?
It was a first date, and things were. I would give things maybe a B plus to that point.
Yeah.
And we went to go see who was it? It was like a war movie of some kind. I can't remember. Rated R, just real edgy stuff for a first date. You know, it's the kind of guy that I am.
Yeah.
And we walk up there, and
not a comedy, of course.
not a comedy. I don't have time
That's
for
so
that.
funny. Yeah, first date. It's like, yeah.
First date, let's
Saving
go.
Private Ryan. Here we go. It's like, yeah, I'm setting the mood.
It was
It's a calculated
It was
decision.
based in World War II.
Do you want to go see Schindler's List?
highly visual war drama.
Yeah.
And yeah, she gets her ticket just fine, and I go up right behind her like we're the only two there. Clearly, this is a date. And it's already proven that she's 24, 25 at this point. And I walk up, and
But she was carded?
no, she was not carded.
Proven, but how was it proven?
Well, I
Well, the
guess
ticket was sold, so
she
by-
wasn't carded.
Okay.
By transitive
And we were on a
property.
date, so either she's doing something very illegal, or just
Oh.
maybe give me a ticket to the movie.
Very illegal.
Like confront her, not me.
Sneaking
how
into
dare
a
you go out with
17
this
plus
young boy?
picture.
Are you lost, son? I don't know what his problem was, but yeah, he looked me up and down and he said, "Show me your ID."
Oh my gosh.
I think, are you sure he wasn't just like flexing? Like
Maybe he was.
Power move. He's like, oh, look at these
Yeah.
two sweet, there's people on a
Yeah.
date, this beautiful couple. Watch me like I'm jealous. Watch
Yeah.
watch me
Yeah.
make
Pump the
this
brakes a
dude
little
feel
bit, bucko.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you look like you're two.
Roasted. Yeah. So I had to take out my ID,
Roasted.
and that was uncomfortable for everybody. I think
Mm.
for the rest of the date, you think about
Yeah.
what people around you start to think.
And he's like, why did I
Right.
question his age? Turns out he wasn't 13.
How
Yeah.
old do you have to be to get into an R movie? 17?
16, I
Yes.
think, isn't it?
I
Is it
think-
17?
I think
I
it's
was 17.
17.
16-year-olds can't handle it.
No.
You
Yeah.
have to be 17.
So this girl that you were on this date with was legitimately wondering if you were 17.
Yeah, I hope she wasn't, because she agreed to go out. So I certainly hope that wasn't on her mind.
Remember how they
yeah.
used to not make rated R content because they didn't think it would make any money? Like they would only make movies up to like PG-13, and like rarely was there a rated R movie because just they wouldn't perform in theaters.
Hmm.
And then
Well,
Air
that's
Force One.
that's still been a thing all the way up until like modern blockbusters.
Yeah, but now we have streaming, so it's less of a thing. But like Air Force One
Yeah.
came out, and that was the first like rated R movie to break a certain threshold, like $100 million or something like that. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Air Force One proved that you can make rated R movies that succeed in the box office." So there you have it.
Open season.
Air
Are you
Force
kidding
One.
me? Terminator 2
Well,
came
yeah,
out years before that.
I know. Hey, I'm not an executive.
Air Force One. Wait, what?
Yeah,
what is
they were
this
like
anecdote?
Air Force One proves that you can make a
Air
rated
Force
R
One
movie.
proves it.
Because that's how Hollywood is.
But like Aliens, Alien,
Was
and
Terminator
like,
2 a giant
Terminator-
box office success?
Oh,
It must have
Terminator
been.
2 is rated R.
Terminator 2 was like gangbusters, right?
I don't know. I feel like
Well,
it would have
it
been.
made 500. It made 520 million in the box office. Its budget was 100 million. So I'd say
Dude,
that's
when
pretty
Terminator
good.
2 came out, I was dying to see it, and I was like what, freaking
You were dying to see
3.
Terminator 2. That came out in 91.
You're 7,
dude.
you're
no,
6,
no, it wasn't in
5.
91. But the
You
thing
were
is,
like
like,
4 years old.
it was okay. Oh, hold on. Let me remix this. It must have been 96 or something, and they're still pumping out Terminator toys. And I'm seeing these Terminator toys going like, this movie must be the coolest movie. And it took still years after that for me to actually watch it. But I don't know.
Terminator 2 3D.
When a rated R
Battle
movie can
Across Time.
capture a child's imagination, I don't know.
Were you allowed to watch rated R movies as a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, Sam had all the coolest movies.
Oh,
My
Oh,
Sam
yeah.
introduced me to anime and
yeah, like
Sam
my
was
dad would
fight
be
scenes.
like, "All right, it's a sick day," and he'd hand me like a VHS of Akira when I'm like 11.
it's a sick day.
I'm serious. I watched it when I was like in 5th or 6th grade, and I was just like, like what the fuck? What the fuck? I even made him get me like an Akira T-shirt when I was like in 6th grade, and I'd be wearing it to school. I'm like, oh man, this is so edgy. I'm like the biggest edgelord right now because it's a rated R movie.
Did you ever get carded at like Video Update or Blockbuster or anything like that?
I don't remember any of that crap.
Blockbuster.
I worked at one.
You know, I never walked back into the adults only section.
Wait.
Yeah,
you
I
worked,
should've.
You worked at a movie rental place?
I worked at the Video Update in Stillwater.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I worked there for like a half year. Only it was like a half year. It was like basically just a summer.
Did you get free rentals?
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I just watched tons of movies. I rent all the games I want to, and just
Oh, nice.
played games all summer and watched all these crazy movies.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's like Netflix before Netflix.
No, yeah, it was
Before
really
modern
it was
Netflix.
awesome. It was awesome because like you'd get all like the new stuff in every week on Tuesday, and you'd like take it before it goes on the shelves and watch it. And
I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Like, if there's a popular new movie coming out, like, you had a good chance of not being able to watch it
Yeah.
because
Hey,
everybody...
you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
You could not get it.
Mm-mm.
yeah,
Tough times.
Like, did anybody just return it? Can you process your returns, please, so I can see if it's in there? And sometimes be like, fine.
That's yeah.
Oh, yeah, the little slots for the VHS
Mm-hmm.
return.
oh yeah.
Dude, I used to ride my bike to Video Update so I could rent Nintendo 64 games. So you rent them for 1 week for like $5.
Yeah, what a
Yeah.
deal.
Video.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Video Update.
Yeah.
Blockbuster.
Yeah,
I'm very familiar
It's
with.
a very it's a regional thing. Let's
It's
see.
a-
Let's
it's
see
a-
what happened
you
to
know.
Video Update.
Like Hollywood Video.
They're
Have you guys
gone.
heard of
Hollywood Video was actually down the street from Video Update.
Okay.
They had a lot of employee theft at Hollywood Video. In fact, Hollywood Video
Oh.
is so rife with employee theft that everybody in my high school, in my grade, like knows about it.
Everyone
funny.
has a VHS.
yeah. And they also
Yeah,
like
Hollywood Video was the scummy video rental.
Yeah. He says you actually rent your games from Hollywood Video because sometimes the employees would be so stoned that they'd forget to scan them correctly. So when you bring it back, they'd be like, oh, it doesn't say it's checked out. This isn't ours. And they'd let you keep it. So that you
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So you could get games that way.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
Okay, Video
nuts.
Update. Here we go. It started maybe in Eagan, Minnesota. I'm trying to figure out where it
Oh, it's a
started.
Minnesota thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just
Let's
it's like a
see.
family video. It's another one of those local video chains.
Renting video games, man, what a nostalgia trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like because I didn't have any video game consoles until I was in high school, and so like birthday party, it's like we're renting an N64 for the
Mhm.
day, and it's just like yeah, oh my god, playing like Need for Speed or whatever those games were on that, and oh my god,
And 64 was such a
Dude,
game changer.
Turok.
Oh yeah. And PS1.
Turok. Oh my
Oh,
god.
dude.
Does it
With the
call
big
it
guns
Turok?
on it?
Dude,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turok the dinosaur
Turok.
hunter, dude.
Yeah.
Turok.
You have all those
I don't know
crazy
how to pronounce
weapons.
Wait,
and
wait,
they're like, there's,
everyone
like,
pronounce
the
it. How did you
dinosaurs-
pronounce it?
Turok.
Turok.
Turk, whatever.
I pronounced it Turok. Yeah.
That's fine.
Respect.
Turok, the
Respect.
dinosaur hunter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you
Turok,
shoot the
I like that.
dinosaurs and they go flying, and there's like these blood trails that just drip down for some reason.
Dude.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah, games are all about what kind of gore graphics can you do. Like, what was that other game? Soldier of Fortune.
Soldier of Fortune 2
That was the
specifically.
goriest.
Yeah, I
game.
remember finding a box of the game, and I flip it over, and they're like, "We've dissected the human body into 46 different like these pieces you can dismember with the weapons in this game." And I was just like, Jesus Christ! It was awesome.
You could shoot people like if you shot somebody through a glass window, the glass would shatter and stick into the character model. And so like if you shotgun somebody, they'd have all these glass shards stuck in them on top of all the
It
damage
was
that they
so
do.
brutal.
It was super gory.
I can't believe I've never heard of this game before.
Soldier of Fortune, it was like the like gory shooter game.
It was
Oh
back
my
in the
like,
day.
it was like cutting edge.
I wasn't allowed. I wasn't
Like
allowed near
Ravensoft
those
or something?
mature titles and rated R movies. Like the movie that always eluded
yeah.
me as a kid. I used to collect Jackie Chan VHS
Mhm.
movies every
Mhm.
week. I'd go and buy another one because I'd get $6 a week,
Oh wow.
and they were $6. But all the rated R catalog were off the table for me. So Rumble in the Bronx was like the coveted.
Oh.
Ugh.
Well, why is that rated R?
That's rated
I,
R.
I don't know. How many times did you say that word?
I don't want any fucking trouble.
I don't want any fucking trouble.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen it now. I love it. And I don't get it either.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
Dang.
What? No way. Dude,
Okay,
IMDb
guys,
gives it a 6.8 out of 10.
That's insane.
Wait, what's the 28 out of 10?
IMDb is a joke.
Yeah.
What,
Get outta here.
Rumble in the
That-
Bronx is a 2.8 out of 10.
6.8 out of 10.
Rumble in
This
the
movie
Bronx
is
It's
wonderful.
way better than 6.8. There's probably like
Oh.
grandmas that watched it and they're like, I can't handle all these high kicks.
Yeah. Oh, all these outtakes at the end when it's a ladder fight, not funny.
They're all making trouble. This is
No.
all, they are all having trouble right now. They're all making trouble and I can't abide by that. So 1 star.
It's too real.
2 stars. They
There's
did,
too much
they did a
crime
good
in New
job.
York City, and this is just making more children want to be criminals, karate criminals.
Karate criminals. Yeah.
All right. Video update was acquired out of bankruptcy in 2001 by a competitor, Movie Gallery Incorporated.
Movie Gallery. I remember Movie Gallery.
That company,
now?
the country's second biggest movie and game rental business behind Blockbuster, went out of business in 2010. Oh my God, what an
Man.
ugly time to be in the video rental game.
There's a
Yeah.
So
slaughter.
Video Update went out in 2001, and then it was acquired by another company, which went out of business in 2010. But there was one Video Update store in Eagan, Minnesota that lasted until 2012.
Oh my gosh.
For 2 decades, Jim and Dave Lozinski owned
Nice.
and operated their own Video Update store. Even as the company's fortune fell, the two applied for and received a lifetime franchise license to keep their business open.
Wow.
As far as we know, we're the last ones worldwide, said Jim on Friday afternoon.
Wow.
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 And then they
Wow.
went out in 2012. Just couldn't keep up.
Yep.
Yep.
End of a lifetime.
The writing was on the wall. Let's be real.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
writing was on the wall.
I feel like
There's-
GameStop's like the
wow.
only like chain from that era that's like held on.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna hold on much longer though.
I tend to agree with that too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they've made it as long as they have.
You know, they got a nice little boost, I guess, this past year somehow through
Yeah,
stocks.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And then we're gonna watch that burn away over the next 2 years here.
Yeah.
There's still a
Yeah.
Blockbuster left though. There's still one,
There's one
in
in, like,
existence, right?
Oregon or something like that, or Washington. Yeah.
Quirky.
Blockbuster Video. There's one in Bend, Oregon.
That's crazy.
Wow. Parent
Yeah.
organization Viacom. Oh, wow.
Viacom owns the one Blockbuster.
Apparently. Apparently.
That's funny.
I remember one of my buddies got like the hard drive for the PlayStation 2 back in the day, and you could actually copy games onto it. So you just go to Blockbuster and rent a PS2 game, copy it to his hard drive,
Oh, that's
and then
awesome.
return it. And he just would slowly build up his library of games by doing that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
genius.
You could do that
Yeah.
with the movie rentals too.
Of course, you could rip the DVDs and whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like I had a
Yeah,
great. I
Dude,
had a
my
greater
friend has 2
appreciation.
VCR players, man. We can copy Terminator 2 Judgment Day and then own it forever.
Watch it whenever I want.
Yeah, there was a greater appreciation, I think, for me back when it was harder to get these things.
Yeah.
You know, we're like inundated with insane shows and movies on
Yeah.
demand all the time. And
Seriously.
like going to Blockbuster and finding it and then getting it and getting it home and then
Yeah.
rewinding it and then playing it. It was like the
Someone
whole
was not
process
kind.
was
Someone was not kind and
Someone
forgot
was
to
not
rewind.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, what a time.
Mm,
I miss that.
me too.
Everything was
Now it's
simple.
like, I don't know what subscription service I want to watch tonight. There's just so much content, I can't even decide.
So I've made a mistake
Which
with
is
my
true, though.
subscription services, by the way. I've made a
Oh.
horrible mistake. I'll advise all you guys so you don't fall into the same pit that I'm in. So, I get Netflix. I'm like, for Christmas this year is like 2015. I'm gonna get a family account for Netflix. I'm gonna get a login to my mom, my dad, Ivy's parents,
and then we were still living, so I still use
Sam and
it.
Sarah.
I still use it. I don't care. I mean, you can politely ask me to
No, keep using it.
Not use it whenever you wish, but until then,
I was using Clint's Corridor was using Clint's Amazon Prime for 6 years.
Oh yeah, and Clint got Amazon Prime, and then it was our official Amazon. We were added as family members.
Yep. I remember
Yeah.
the day we got our own Amazon account. It was big happenings.
But so I get Netflix, and another year rolls around, and all the parents are like, "We love the Netflix gift. We hope you'll keep doing it." Like, that's fine, I'll keep doing it. This year, I want to watch something on Hulu, so I'm gonna get Hulu or Game of Thrones. All right, guys, for this Christmas, you guys get HBO subscriptions. I got a family account for HBO, and so now at this point, all of Ivy's parents, my parents, they have our HBO, our Hulu, our Netflix, and so now I'm like, I don't give a crap about HBO right now. I don't need HBO. I don't want to watch Netflix right now. I'm not watching anything, and I go to cancel. I'm like, wait. I can't cancel it because now this is their present. And now I'm permanently subscribed to 6 streaming services because it's too many Christmas presents, Spotify's and Netflix's, and I can't stop. I can't get out of it now. I'm forced into subscribing for everybody.
That's brutal.
Now you just gotta set aside a portion of the budget each month just for your
you need your
family
Crunchyroll
subs.
one for the anime.
Mm-hmm.
You need your Netflix. You got your HBOs.
Don't forget Peacock.
You got your Disney
That's an important one.
Disney's, Hulu's. You got your Paramount Pluses. You got your Peacocks.
Plural.
I subscribe to Paramount Plus so we can
Then
watch
I
Blue's
guess
Clues.
I'm still on YouTube Premium's dope because I
That's
wish
right.
YouTube. Thank God Google, who is an ad company, has let people subvert their ads by just giving a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God.
Unfortunately, I got to keep ads so I can see what's actually out there because it's kind of our business.
What are you looking for?
Nothing. I just need to see what is the ad experience like on YouTube. So I stay ad.
I mean, I
ads
catch
on.
them every once in a while over the shoulders of the less fortunate, but I'm just saying, I wish Instagram. Oh my God, if Instagram did that, thank God.
But I
that'd
did
be so
immediately
great.
unsubscribe. I did subscribe to YouTube Premium when Milo started watching YouTube videos because there's no way I'm gonna let my 2-year-old deal with it. YouTube.
Oh my
ads.
God, I know.
I feel so sorry for all the children out there who's are just getting blasted with ads that are not at all vetted for children or anything like that. It's YouTube is a wasteland for kids. It is just rotting their brains.
There's a lot of
500
crap out.
hours of content every minute.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I like getting and watch YouTube, but it's the thing where it's all right, you get X time per day, and then also I constantly tap him on one shoulder and he looks, and then I mute a ton of these channels so they never pop up ever. You have to be on it. You know,
you have to be
for it
very
to work
involved.
because there are people who are there are people existing who make decent kids shows on YouTube,
Yeah.
but there's also not too. There's a lot of people who are just oh yeah, that one guy. I'm not going to say his name or where we talked to him. But
Yeah.
I remember that one guy, he was yeah, it doesn't matter whose fingers they are in there. It doesn't matter. The kids still watch it.
What's the context of that?
Toys and
Yeah.
stuff.
a guy
talk about creepy, gross render challenges.
That's the worst
Yeah,
sentence
a
I've
guy
ever
he's talking
heard.
about kids
Render
videos where it's
that
they're playing with
guy.
toys, and it was he was saying, yeah, it doesn't no one gives a fuck whose fingers are in there, just so anyone can do it, and so we're doing 20 channels like this. It's ugh.
Yeah. He had a whole thing going where he had an empire. He had a slumlord's empire of channels, just of kids opening toys and things like that. And yeah, he was going on about it to us about how it was a whole business, and
That's
we were just sitting there
fascinating.
going like this.
The whole unboxing thing is fascinating to me.
Cringing.
Just in terms of why that's an attractive. Why do people like watching unboxing? Is it the experience of opening something for yourself? Is that?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just product porn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I suppose.
it's just that's
It's
exactly what it
consumerism
is.
without
It's
having to
just
buy
little,
anything.
little dopamine hit.
Loot
Mm.
boxes,
Fair.
Yeah. I still want to do our child psychologist reacts to YouTube kids videos. We talked about doing it a
We
long
should
time
do
ago.
that.
That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Just
We
do
should do
psychologist
that.
react, but it's kids videos. And just get to hear about just how rough it is. I actually did a little presentation for YouTube back when they had the product team in LA. And the main point so the product team is the team that makes the actual like interface, the product YouTube. And one of the things I was focused on, like in my presentation, was the fact that they had zero regulations for kids as actors. Because in Hollywood, like you have to have a teacher on set. You can't have them on set past a certain hour. You can only have 8 hours a day. If you're doing an extended shoot, then you get schooling on the shoot. Like if you pay the kids, it goes to a trust in their name, so the parents can't take the money. There's all these laws and regulations. Same thing with television. If you are playing kids media, you can't have cereals or candy in your commercials. You can't do toys between certain hours when young kids are home from school. So like all the ads are regulated too, but none of that exists on YouTube. So people are going on YouTube and making millions, literally millions of dollars, exploiting their kids. And there's no regulations protecting those kids. There's none of that guarantees that they're getting schooling. There's nothing, like, it's a complete Wild West. And that was my whole presentation. It's like, you guys need to start getting your act together. Otherwise, I guarantee you in about 8 years, you're going to start getting stories of people coming out and being like, YouTube totally exploited me, you know?
Yeah.
I have a thought on this. Because this is coming up again, right? With what just happened like late last year with Instagram. And, you know,
they're saying, let's make Instagram for kids, that thing.
Well, no, the whole like, hey, we have empirical evidence that Instagram is harmful for teenage girls specifically. And have we done anything about it? No, we haven't. No. Have you done anything about it at all? No, we really haven't. Even though you have empirical evidence that shows that and you guys already know about it. Yeah.
We haven't
done anything. Yeah. So are we too far gone? Are we too far gone? Like, are we past the point of people being able to be like, hey, there needs to be some regulation here?
I don't think so, but honestly, my hope is that the natural regulation of people getting bored with shit is going to like actually influence this. Where at a certain point, people will be like, I'm over it. I don't really care about Instagram anymore. I don't care about the like, because at a certain point, it's going to be old news. What about the babies being born now? They're like, TikTok, whatever. I don't like.
Well, that's what's happening with Twitter right now.
You know, what's that? That people are just like, I don't care about Twitter, or
well, I mean, I don't know if this is directly tied to its use, but its stock price since like mid last year is basically halved.
Oh yeah, it's because there's no way they can make any money. That's the thing. That's why it's halved.
Yeah.
Well, this is the whole weird thing. It is weird. It's super weird because like. I think the last since Trump became president is where everyone's kind of having this coming to terms with this concept of social media and like the regulation here, because once Trump started running for president, it was like everyone's like, we don't get like previously it was like, oh yeah, there's bullshit on Facebook, but now it's like, oh hey, the president and the people surrounding him are putting bullshit out there, and it's like, all right, okay. If it's supposed to be a president, you know, you're supposed to be some level of like vetting with what you say and what you do. And suddenly now you have this prominent figure using social media and saying crazy bullshit all the time. And suddenly it's like, okay, everyone's like, wait a second. Okay, so we flag his tweets? We're gonna put a little
ban the president from Twitter.
We're gonna put a little
that's what I'm
weird
saying.
marker
Is
next to
it
this
too
thing?
far gone now? Because it's like we went 4 years of that, and then then everybody else started doing it.
Yeah,
like everybody else in
weird.
These positions started doing it too.
I know. Well, it's weird because it's like now this whole like Joe Rogan Spotify thing. They're like, okay, all right, everyone's angry at us, so we'll put a little I with a circle next to it.
The eyes there.
Click here for COVID-19
info. Like,
information.
oh, by the way, COVID misinformation. It's like, okay, so it's like there's tiny little baby steps here and there kind of happening now with like this concept of like platforms and responsibility, but it's like one of those like, I don't know. It's like you drop your phone and you bump it with your foot. You know, it's like that kind of like. It's that level of effort of trying to like fix a problem, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have like back in, you know, before the internet, you had central, you know, news sources, basically. You know, you had basically the big three channels, ABC, CBS, NBC. I probably missed one. Fox, like old Fox. And, you know, so they have their news shows, and that's where you get your information. So there were gatekeepers to the news. And while they certainly purported to try to uphold a certain value of truthfulness, and they did to some extent, there's also, of course, just natural bias and control of information that would come from that. And of course, trying to actually sell views and all that kind of stuff. And like now there is no gatekeeper and anybody can post anything, which the whole using the news to get views has only been
there's another
exacerbated
different thing though that's
by
happened too
ad-based.
since the rise of digital media.
Well, there
And
hasn't been
that's-
you haven't had a commitment to truthfulness necessarily. Like you had a commitment to truthfulness back in
right.
the day, but now there is no commitment to truthfulness.
But what
But
I'm saying is
simple.
part
I
of the
think it's
reason of that is because people now aren't paying for their media anymore.
Right, they're paying.
And-
They pay by view. We pay by ads, and that's
yeah,
totally
you pay
warped
by
the whole
you pay
model.
by ad, and then therefore now you're clicking on something rather than getting a newspaper sent to you, or rather than watching it on broadcast television where it's like subsidized and
Yeah.
paid by major advertising
I think
without
it goes.
clicks.
I think it goes one level deeper than all that, which is the whole point of the internet and these social media platforms is to give everyone a voice.
Mhm.
And so suddenly now 7 billion people have a voice. How do you regulate thought?
Yeah,
Because that's basically what is happening here. We're at a point in time where it's like, okay, anyone can upload a video to YouTube. So cool. Now it's versus like that technology being within a small number of hands.
yeah.
So like unfortunately it comes back to maybe it's like it's a new concept here because you can't regulate thought. And when
No.
everyone has access to upload whatever they want, then suddenly it's like, well, how do you regulate that? How do you regulate every image of a child in a YouTube video? And how do you rate whether that's a channel designed to profit off of ad dollars, or is that just someone's like home movies channel?
I feel,
that they're
I
putting
feel
up?
like there's a really simple
Right.
answer to it. Like let me just throw out a casual, easy answer that
Let's do it.
everyone's off about.
Let's do it.
No, but
One of the
seriously,
most complex problems of the 21st century. All
here's
right,
what
let's
it
hear
boils down to, in my opinion. If you are curating the content on your platform in any way, literally, if you have an algorithm and it's not just like sorted by chronological upload date, but if you're actually coming up with a way to say, like, okay, I'm going to put this in front of you, I'm going to hide this. You are now deciding, you are now stating things. You are now saying this is true, this is not, this needs to be viewed, this isn't. The moment you start curating your media is the moment you are no longer just a platform and you are now a publisher. And if people want to say whatever they want to say, they can pay for their own web hosting and put it up on their own website. Go for it, right? If you want to say whatever you're going to say and it's going to go onto YouTube and YouTube's going to be like, it's just whatever. It's an open platform, free speech. It's like, no, you have an algorithm. It's not free speech. You are curating this stuff. That's where
Yeah.
the laws of libel and slander all need to be reapplied, and they're not.
Yeah.
All that stuff does exist. There
God,
are legal
the world is
repercussions.
so fucked up right now.
It would be so easy to like
It's
just step
so-
forward.
I totally fucking agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree, and I think it's fine for like YouTube to be like, we want to ban these channels because we think they're doing misinformation. Go for it. I don't give a shit who they are, whether I agree with them or not. But I think they should have every power to do that. And everyone who's like complaining about being canceled or like
Yeah.
social media, it's like fuck you.
Yeah,
Like,
you're on some other company's websites.
Yeah,
you
you're-
make your own website. It
go on
costs you
your own-
$5 a month.
Go to your own
Jesus.
damn website.
The argument is that it isn't just their website. It is now the platform for public speech. That's what
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and
But they're
even
not.
TikTok to it.
But
to
they
an
aren't.
extent,
aren't.
and
They
Twitter are.
factually aren't.
But-
So,
But if it's
Yeah.
like if you have
But
like
you're saying you're having your cake and eating it too, though, Niko. You're saying no. It is you are a publisher as soon as you apply an algorithm,
Mhm.
but screw the people who you can kick off because
no,
it's a
that's not
private
kicking you.
company.
I'm being very consistent. I'm saying it is a corporate platform. It is their own website, and they are curating stuff, and they can do whatever they want with it. And if you have a problem with it, go make your own website. Like,
Sure.
obviously, voice your complaints, do all that kind of stuff. Try to make YouTube a better place. That's
But
awesome.
why do they
But-
need to be regulated then?
Because
in
they
that
are
way.
actively publishing things without vetting them, because they hide behind that we're a platform and we don't curate, it's an open thing when it's not. They do curate.
Right, but you're saying there's an inherent aspect of like public speech that's happening.
I'm saying, like, if if YouTube is taking a video of somebody's going out and saying that the election is a bunch of fraud, right? And it's not truthful, and then YouTube takes that and sticks it in the little algorithm, and okay, now it's going to go out in front of 1 million new people. YouTube is deciding to publish that, and they are now publishing misinformation, and that is YouTube that is doing that. It's kind of the same issue that they had that whole law, and YouTube was trying to get all of its different users to like write into the EU to tell them not to pass that law. I can't remember what it was called, but basically the law was saying like, hey, it's not the person who uploads it to your service that's responsible for the copyright infringement. It's you who owns the service that's responsible for the
I think you're
copyright
missing a
infringement.
few things though in your analysis there.
Or what about the physical location metaphor? A town or a company makes like a big square where everyone can go to talk, and they put like sharp objects everywhere. And so you go there to talk, and then you hurt yourself, and you're like, look, no, anyone can come here. It's your own thing. It's like, no, you're responsible
For that space.
to keep this space like free of danger, since you're like paying for it or hosting it. It's like you would still be like, I'm suing the platform, not like suing other people around. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, like if I took my computer and I opened it up to the internet, I'm like, hey, I can use my computer. And like somebody comes and like stores a bunch of child porn on it so other people can come and grab it. I can't be like, whatever, it's an open platform. Like, no, it's your computer.
Or you go to a concert.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're
Maybe
still
the other
saying
one.
that you're still saying though that there is some arbiter of truth in this context.
Well, yeah,
And
I
you're
mean, talking about like regular slander, libel, all those kind of things that do apply. A newspaper can't go out and just say completely factually false things about, say, another person or another company without getting into potential legal trouble. But YouTube has hidden behind the whole like, oh, it's not our content, it's somebody else's content. We're just hosting it. It's like, well, no, you're actually publishing it, which is a difference.
Right. But you are also then saying, okay, so take the misinformation example. Okay. Now there's misinformation. Doesn't matter what it is. Right. It's who is this arbiter of what is in between this misinformation? Right. If I'm like, okay, you want to remove the election fraud misinformation, COVID misinformation. Men can
I
be
think we can accept that there's a concept
misinformation.
of
Can you remove
truthfulness.
that information too?
There's a concept of truthfulness and what's the term I'm looking for here? But acting with best intentions, things like that. There is a concept here that you can tell when somebody is bullshitting you versus somebody talking about something that, maybe there's things that you haven't quite figured out
No,
yet.
I
but, like,
agree. I agree. Like you look
the Instagram
at
thing is a great example. There you go. It's like
you look
we
at
have studies.
look at Zuckerberg's Congress interview, and it's like so obvious that he's just hiding behind his own platform, right? Pretending like he doesn't have control over it. But I think it's important to recognize that these are public platforms,
but they're not
They're not at all.
public. They're
Not
private
no, but
platforms.
I know you're that's the distinction I'm trying to make here.
Yeah.
Is you're saying no, these are private companies in and of their entirety. So, but then when the government comes in and is like, hey, we need to do something because your actions are affecting the greater public, then they hide behind and they go, no, it's not us, it's the user. We're a private company, not a public company, not a government asset, not a none of the First Amendment doesn't apply. And you're vehemently saying that now that they can do whatever they want because they're a private company. Well, what about the public impact? Could you say the same thing about an oil company? Could you say the same thing about an energy company? Yeah, it's a private company, but if they don't deliver the energy, then you don't have electricity. And now all of a sudden there's a public impact there where they're profiting off of it, and they have now a moral and social responsibility that's beyond just like, hey, I'm a private company, leave me alone. And I think to deny the fact that exists about these platforms is totally.
At the end of the day, it becomes a simple question of whether or not it's a private company. It is a private company.
No, Niko, it's not a simple question. The companies are so no, it's not. These companies are so large.
Complicated repercussions.
They're so large, and they have such an egregious impact on the public at large. You cannot honestly sit there and say that they have no public impact or they're not public.
No, that's
speech
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all.
But once again, I think the oil thing is a great metaphor or a great analogy, actually, because there's tons of regulations surrounding how and where things need to be approved. You're not going to just put up an oil well somewhere randomly and then tell people later. It's like, no, we're sending geologists to this area. We're sending like Marines and wildlife scientists to this area. We're studying it. We're getting things written down. It's all approved. It's regulated. How it's transferred, how it's extracted. There's safety precautions surrounding the entire process. How it can be sold is regulated as well, where it can go. Like the entire process, because of that public impact, it's highly regulated, you know? And now, granted, an oil spill happens. Yes, the oil company then suddenly gives all the politicians bonuses to get a lot of leniency and subvert.
Yeah, and they put ads about how friendly they are on public television.
Yeah, clean coal.
We're sorry.
We're scrubbing the coal. We're washing it.
We washed it. We bleached the coal.
And granted, there's an entire slew of issues, but it's still at its base. You know, we have that. There is, because of the public impact, there is the regulatory structure to try and keep it in its lane, so that way it doesn't become too chaotic and it keeps consistency. So it's like, I feel like, so yeah, by that measure, it's kind of like, well, these are huge companies too. They have a huge public impact. So why aren't the regulations there to force them into their lane?
It would be useful for the public at large, but it also does bring up the First Amendment and the free speech question.
But it's not a government institution, so like.
But this is what I'm saying, Niko.
Well, here's the thing,
If you had a company that was so large that it was denying everybody due process of law, such that they were just like some company that was just like entirely circumventing some fundamental right.
But they can do that. They can do whatever they want with their platform. It's their servers. It's their platform. It's that simple. And like, if there's bad fallouts because of that, then you got to deal with it.
Yeah, it's like
you don't get to just like be like, the laws aren't going to really apply because this is a little bit of a funky situation. Like, no, it's a private company and it's a private platform. And honestly, if we were strict about our applications of what that means, it would kind of eliminate a couple of these problems that we're talking about. You know, it's either embrace it as a private platform or it's not a private platform at all, which of course it isn't. It's a
You're
company.
saying it's a private platform with a huge public impact, but also does not need to adhere to public practices that the government would otherwise need to adhere to? That's literally what you're saying.
Legally, they do not. Of course they don't. They can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. They're a private company.
Our studio and says something really stupid.
What is the purpose of the government then? What is the purpose of the government then? If not to act as a buffer between a great public.
If we're going to get into a deep talk about First Amendment rights and how much that should be adhered to outside of public institutions, this is not really the space.
Here's the problem.
What are you talking about? This is the perfect space for it. This is a podcast about a bunch of video creators on YouTube. What are you talking about?
Well, I think I'm just gonna say this. Hate me. I call into the question whether it's worth listening to everyone. With free speech is cool, and I agree. First Amendment is a very important right. I don't want to. I'm not saying the First Amendment is bad, but when everyone has the power of a magnifying glass to like say dumb shit.
Wait, magnifying glass or megaphone?
Megaphone. Like free speech is good, but then if the government is forced to supply megaphones to everyone. I don't think that's a good idea.
Look, at the end of the day here, I just want to be clear. A lot of people confuse this. The First Amendment, and you know this, Jake, I'm not saying this to you. The First Amendment only applies to the government. Like, it only says that the government
means you can't go to jail and you can't be deprived of your liberty for saying something, whether it's smart or stupid.
Right. There's obviously there's a couple of very specific restrictions, but yes.
Naturally, but
yeah. And that only applies to the government. You know, if YouTube wants to be like, look, no talking about guns on YouTube, which they kind of did.
Okay, it doesn't. They can do that. It doesn't just apply to the government. It doesn't just.
It doesn't apply to a company. A company can be like, hey, we only hire Christians here.
No,
they can do that. No, the government can't.
I don't think they can.
I'll give you an example. They
kind of can.
A company can totally do that.
As long as you don't say it.
First of all,
that's the line.
First of all, no, you guys are going down a little bit of a path, which is some of the argument against. You're establishing core concepts, which are some of the arguments against this idea that no, they're a private company, they can do whatever you want. You don't like it, start your own platform. And that's this thing, these like first and foremost, if let me give you an example. If I'm a company, a private company, and I organize say I have 500 employees and I say all 500 employees go out into a public square and incite a riot Incite
would
violence.
be heavily illegal. Yes,
Why would that be illegal?
because inciting a riot and inciting violence is a
Right.
crime.
Well, we didn't say all we did was say things. All
But
we
that-
did was say things.
But that is an illegal thing to do. You cannot say certain things. and
Why
that's one
is
of the
that
things you can't
illegal?
say.
It's illegal. You can deny somebody the right of free speech.
Mhm.
Somebody's free speech can be taken from them, not by necessarily the government. The government is not the one who is protecting the right. They're taking it away.
Right. There's very specific places it applies. Like, for example, libel, slander, yelling fire in a crowded theater is the classic example. You know,
Right.
You can't put
And
other people.
so-
You can't incite violence. You can't incite danger. You can't mortally threaten somebody.
But you're saying the First Amendment, the protections of the First Amendment only apply to the government.
No, I'm saying that the protections of the First Amendment are limitations of the government. The government cannot pick an official religion. The government cannot house troops in your house. The government cannot search your private property without a warrant. Warrant.
Well, those are that's the
Warranty.
first and
Warranty.
third and fourth
Sure.
amendments. But yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
it's just you're saying this. You don't deny that these platforms have a massive global impact on information and equality.
No, I'm not
And
denying that
human
at all.
rights.
Of course, I'm not denying that. That's an obvious.
You're not denying that at all.
Of
Yet
course,
you're
they have a huge
saying
impact.
yet you're saying that they have no obligation to maintain free and open discourse as you would in a free society.
They have an obligation, but not a legal obligation.
And I'm saying, why isn't there a legal obligation at this point? They should.
Because there is a distinction between something legal, something moral, something that you simply just want to provide for the users. You know, if the people of YouTube don't value an open platform, they don't like Netflix is not an open platform. People still value it and use it. You know, it's like there's a whole wide range
Netflix is
here.
not a public speech platform, though.
I mean,
I don't understand how you're
aren't they
separating
speech?
public speech. You're separating public speech and free and open discourse. And then I don't know how you can separate those two things.
Yeah, but
in a
it's
free
like saying
society.
like, hey guys, meet up. We're meeting up at the pizza shop
We're
every
meeting up at
Friday
Chuck E.
night.
Cheese.
We're meeting up at Chuck E. Cheese every Friday night to talk about sports. And then Chuck E. Cheese is closed, or they say, you know, hey guys, like you got to stop meeting here. Like we have a party tonight.
Maybe
And-
pick something a
and
little more like not kid friendly. We're gonna meet up at Chuck E. Cheese to talk about.
our freaking
No, you guys are
role-playing.
downplaying. You guys are. Here's what's
Yeah,
really
and then Chuck E.
happening.
Cheese
Chuck E. Cheese
says,
is like, no,
hey,
no,
hey,
no,
hey,
no.
I
get the fuck
understand
out
the
of
Chuck E.
here.
Cheese example, Sam.
And you're
I
like,
understand.
This is a
I
fucking
understand
place
your
for
Chuck E.
public
Cheese
discourse.
example, and you're trying to make my argument sound more clowny.
No, I'm
and
not
it's
trying
Chuck
to.
E.
No,
Cheese. I get it, but what's really
Put a straw
happening?
man in a Chuck E. Cheese
What's
costume.
really
Just let us go
happening
with it.
is these platforms put themselves out there as public speech platforms.
Right,
Became
they
massively
do.
rich and successful as public speech platforms. And then when we are asking the government to regulate them as public speech platforms and to protect free speech and open discourse, you're then saying, oh, no, but they don't have to do that.
No, I'm saying that
No, we're saying-
I'm saying they aren't public speech platforms. I'm saying they are private platforms.
How can you say that?
I'm not saying they can't be regulated.
they're not public
How
speech.
can you
I'm
say
saying-
they're not public speech platforms?
I
They
can ex-
absolutely are.
Look,
You're
here's
saying
a-
we need
here's a
to,
pitch.
we need to
Here's my
regulate
pitch.
them as publishers, but they're not public speech platforms.
Are they owned by the government? Are they owned
That
by the
has
public?
nothing
No.
to do with it. That has
Yes, it
nothing to
does.
do with it. You're saying they
It's a
need to be
company.
regulated. Niko,
YouTube is an
I think it's-
advertising
I think it's cool
platform
how
that
you can
allows you to
sit there
upload
and not get
videos.
as animated as I am about this, but you are fundamentally incorrect in this nature here.
If YouTube was a public speech platform, it wouldn't run ads.
You
Yeah.
cannot sit there and say that something is not a public speech platform, but needs to adhere to the obligations of publishers. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Whether it's YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, or any other public speech platform, they are private companies and they can do whatever.
You just called it a
they can-
public
let me
speech
finish,
platform
let me
again now.
finish. They can do whatever the heck they want with their servers, with their rules, with their guidelines, because they are private
Then
companies.
stop
they are
saying
private
that they need to be
websites.
treated like publishers then. Stop
But
saying that.
So therefore,
No, therefore
let
you
me
need to
finish. Therefore, the stuff on their servers, the stuff they are publishing, it is under they are responsible for it. If they end up publishing something that say starts a riot, they are responsible for it. It's on their servers and they are publishing it. It's not that they're doing it passively. They are actively influencing an algorithm to decide what people want to look at and what they don't want to look
so
at.
you
But
upload a
they're
video saying,
not
hey, let's
public
start a
speech
riot.
platforms.
And then they go like, I like this video. Let's put it to the top.
And then they're like, hey, a lot of people are watching this. Yeah, we're gonna push this and recommend this so that a ton of people see this.
Yeah, and they need to be held responsible for that as any private entity would.
And
but
it's
then
in there.
you're saying then you're saying with the other hand that they can take away whatever types of speech that they want from their platform.
Yeah, they can.
What?
If I make
I don't think I feel like you're making arguments and then we're making arguments.
Yeah,
but these aren't meshing because like I feel like you have a different version of this conversation than I do right now. Because when you just said what, it didn't make any impact here.
YouTube
let's have the
already
same
decides
conversation.
to upload whatever they want. They ban stuff all the time.
So like okay, let's break it down real simple. Jordan writes down
Let's break it down.
some
Let's break
wacky
it down.
stuff, all right? And I read it and I
Real
go
wacky
and I
stuff.
look at this wacky stuff, all right? And then I'm gonna go, you know what? I think Jake and Niko really gotta see this stuff. So I give it to both of you guys and you see it. And then a few minutes later, you guys start breaking stuff. You bust my windows or someone's windows. And I'm like, okay, whose fault was that? Who's at fault here? Was that Jordan for saying, hey, giving me a note that says, hey, breaks this guy's windows? Or is it my fault for saying, you know, who would like to see this? In fact, let's hand this out to more people.
It's both of your faults.
So it's both of our faults.
It's a shared fault.
So it's basically, it's Jordan's fault for doing the initial
You guys are both
inciting
guilty.
here.
And should be ashamed.
And then it's
sorry
partially
about that.
my fault
My windows
for then going, you know
are
what?
broken.
You know what? According to everything I know on how to make money and get views, in order to profit off of this crazy message that says break windows, I know the exact people to give it to. and so now I'm profiting off of his inciting a riot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just supposed to be for fun. I didn't mean
and-
anything by it.
You know,
Here's a metaphor, really.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a metaphor, but like that's the thing. It's like now I'm profiting off of like a business decision. You know, this is how they go. Oh, this is how we should act as a company is by taking this type of information and doing X with it. You know,
Yeah. See,
in order to make money.
My point, I think Sam illustrated well, but Jake, my point of view at the end of the day is that by thinking of these companies as private entities, which they are, and really be adhering to that, along with that comes the responsibility that they need to have, as well as the punishments for not following those responsibilities. You know, a private entity, they are responsible for publishing, like the newspaper is responsible for publishing truthful things, you know? And that carries over to something like YouTube, Twitter, or anything else that's going to be publishing information.
We are in agreement on the idea that regulation would be useful as a public good. But I think fundamentally you are coming at it from a slightly different angle in the sense of like this whole idea about like free speech. You're saying it doesn't matter. They can push whatever kind of information and speech that they want to, but if they push the wrong speech, whatever that is, then they get in trouble. So what you're doing though is you're creating this totally arbitrary arbiter of truth. And then you're saying, but you better be right, because if you're wrong and it incites a riot.
I'm not introducing an arbiter of truth. I think that's where we need to be clarifying here. I am applying the laws that already exist for all of this stuff. There are already regulations for how all this stuff works. You cannot publish certain things. You cannot say certain things in news articles.
Those laws were written for traditional media.
They still apply. They still apply
yes,
easily.
But as they updated the Copyright Act in 1976 after 100 years of copyright infringement. And they were like, what do we do? Let's update it in 1976. You think that we can't update our laws to fit the technologies?
I'm not saying we can or can't. I'm not saying we even need to. All I'm saying is that laws already exist that handle the problems that we're dealing with. They just simply need to be applied.
Maybe that's where you and I disagree then. I think I just wanted to get to the bottom of that. And I think you and I disagree because you're saying, no, they're private companies. They need to be treated as such. And
Yeah.
however you like that or don't like it, it's fine. They can say that there's election fraud. They can say that men can be
No, no, no.
pregnant.
No.
Doesn't matter. But
No. I want to be clear. You can't publish certain things as a private company. If you go out and
right,
you
but if they
blatantly
say
lie,
my point was if they say those things and people get hurt because of it or they're blatantly lying, then
And
they
you
get
get
in
in
trouble.
trouble. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. But and I'm just saying that the application of the pre-existing laws to the situation that we're in now in 2022 is not enough. It's not enough.
I'd agree with that. I think we need to obviously update things, but obviously stuff does exist that covers a lot of the issues we're already dealing with.
Yes,
I will
there's a
also just-
foundation, obviously. It's not like we're wholly without law in this area.
Yeah, and I also want to throw it out there that there is a difference, at least in my mind, stark difference between just because something is legal doesn't mean it's what you want to do or it's the right thing to do. You know?
Of course,
It's
there's a
like-
difference to that. Yeah.
So when I say like it should be this way, I don't mean like that's functionally how it should be. I just mean that's the legal structure, around it should be a certain way, but how people want to act, obviously they have their own decisions beyond that. I'm
And
getting
so
a little
the-
abstracted here, but
I understand. The only point I was trying to make is that we now need to start to consider these platforms as public platforms. They're public utility, almost like platforms, like the internet
perhaps
providers.
I just feel like that absolves them of
like giving them
responsibility.
too much? Is that yeah?
Yeah,
Doesn't
it just-
that give them too much credit?
Yeah,
You know
I think
what
it
I'm
just
aware of?
absolves
It's
them
like-
of responsibility for
it's
what
like-
they
I
do.
don't think so at all. I mean, these are
Friggin-
massive media and data and informational platforms upon
Yeah,
which
but
people
they're
are
popping up all the time now. They're popping up all the time.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying every single social media platform.
every
I'm
2
saying
years,
ones of
there's
a
another
ones
big
of a
platform.
certain scale. Like
It's just-
you can literally look at the economics of it.
I think just what it all really boils down to, whether it's public or private, there needs to be a certain amount of responsibility for what they are actively publishing and pushing on their platforms, which is something they are deciding to do privately. When Facebook
Right.
decides to tweak the algorithm to publish images to young teenage girls that harms their body image, that's Facebook's decision to do that, and it needs to be treated accordingly. Public entity, private entity, doesn't matter. Facebook's a company. They took that action, and that's the repercussion, and it needs to be attached directly to their decisions, which they actively made to do that. And
And
people
so
like
you're
to
saying
obfuscate that.
right,
They like to
and so-
hide that and fog that up, but it's not a complicated issue. It's very simple. Facebook very clearly had an engineer make the algorithms that do that, and they know how it works. It's very simple. You can change that.
Right, but your argument is they need to change it or get in trouble, or the free market will create another platform. Is that your argument to solve the problem?
My
No.
argument is that I believe there are already laws in place that would get them in trouble for that action, and the reason those laws have not been applied is for a myriad of reasons.
There's two categories, by the way. By the way, I think the confusion is because we're talking about two categories here. Okay, we're talking about category A, which is the private platforms. They can ban or treat users however they wish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they create a narrative, and the content is conformed to the private company's narrative.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and do they have a right?
Terrifying.
Do they have a right to do that?
Terrifying.
Well, big companies have been terrifying for
Right.
much longer than social media has existed.
I know, but that's
it's
your argument.
it's a
Throw your
persistent-
hands up.
No, I'm not throwing my hands up. I'm saying it's a persistent problem that critical thinking and awareness can overcome. You see
Right.
a corporate gas station message saying, "Hey, we're making the future a better place by selling gas," and you're like, "Cool, actually, I know there's other people doing it. I'm using critical thinking. I know this is all bullshit. Cool. I subverted the corporate narrative in a millisecond. Piece of cake. So
Yeah.
that's easy to deal with. So then the other end of this is totally different. This is the sugary cereal ads paired with children's TV shows concept.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a completely different category we're talking about here as well, which is
That is a different category. Yeah.
yes. But so we've been kind of intertwining these arguments, which is why I think it's getting a little
Yeah.
confusing here. Obviously, Google can't get in trouble for having a guy who goes like, dude, put this thing up your butt and cures your COVID. It's like Google's not gonna like get into trouble by the government.
But at the same time,
You
Google
know what
then
I'm saying?
published that to, if they made that the number 1 video on the site for like 5 days, you're like, well, Google, you're kind of back in that message now.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. And obviously now, I guess now we start. intertwining these categories once again. Let's say 5 people die because they put the wrong thing up their butt and it didn't cure their COVID and they died. So whose fault is that?
This legit happened with the Tide Pods.
No, now here's the thing. Whose fault is it? Google?
Right.
Was it YouTube? Or was it the stupid person who uploaded the video?
Here's my point, Nico. Here's the point that I'm trying to make. I keep going back to this free speech thing and da. What I'm saying is that the best ideas in a world where you cannot control thought,
right?
The best ideas,
God damn, that's scary,
that actually get to the top, that people actually follow, are only come about through through open discourse. And it needs to be, and there's a line, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you just allow narratives that are stupid or people take advantage of or are completely blatantly misinformation, but I'm saying there is a ton of gray area. There's a ton of gray area, and people are going to say things you don't like, and you can't just berate the platform when it's a effectively public speech platform to just say this needs to be off of here, which is exactly what they're doing with Joe Rogan right now. Exactly what they're doing. People who haven't even seen his episodes, who don't even know anything about him, they've just heard sound bites and yada yada. They're saying, Spotify, you need to do this, da. If Spotify was treated as a public platform that it was required to uphold free speech, that wouldn't even be an issue. It wouldn't even be a thing that was decided by the corporation.
I don't think we should be holding platforms like that to a free speech legal test. That said, I think you and I are both in agreement that free speech, regardless of whether you're a private or public entity, is still an ideal that should be pursued because open discussion is important. But it does bring up to mind, right now with the way things work, whether it's advertising based or view based, people aren't necessarily wanting the truth. And this is a bit of an issue I've had with Reddit recently, where you're not getting the truth when things are uploaded. You're getting what people want to believe is true. And one of the most common misconceptions I read about all the time is so, for example, people talk about, hey, should there be an Oscar for stunts, right? And then immediately somebody chimes in, well, the problem is if they had an Oscar for stunts, people would just try to one up each other with the most dangerous stunt, so that's why they don't have it. And it's like, that person has no idea how stunts work. They have no idea how the industry works. That is not what qualifies a good stunt, is how dangerous it is. That's not how it works.
Well, if they legalize marijuana, then everyone's just going to want to do heroin, man. Don't you know?
So I say that, and I say it nicely at first, but I say that, and it gets downvoted because people don't want that to be the truth. They want the truth to be that stunts aren't allowed, or awards aren't allowed for stunts, because people want to try to one up each other for danger. And so the truth doesn't matter. What people want to believe matters on sites like Reddit, where you have
also
like
people upvote that one picture of the Cortana from the Halo series that's coming out, and they're like, something's wrong with this is janky. And it's like, no, that's not the truth. There's nothing wrong with Cortana. It's the whole series. The whole Halo series is janky, and you're pretending like they got one thing wrong. It's like, no, they got everything's wrong. This is so, and everyone posting on the Discord now, like, we should fix Cortana's janky face. Like, where do we be? Like, that's like halfway through the trailer. We're gonna fix shots from the trailer. We're gonna start at the beginning. Like, this is stupid. I've been wanting to. We're gonna talk about this more in VFX Artist Draft probably, because there's some great visual effects, but the whole thing's stupid.
Yeah,
it's not just one thing.
Look, there's a lot of shitisms out there. I don't like that about it.
I'm losing it. This has been bottled up, and I just found the closest segue to you say something. Sorry.
I really don't like shitism culture. I think it's really toxic. But all I'm saying is there's a
I'm going to sum it up. Here's the thing. There's a difference between something being harmful and becoming true misinformation. And there's a difference between that and something that hurts your feelings or makes you feel bad. And I'm not saying bad things where people say something that hurts your feelings. People need to fucking nut up. All right? There's going to be plenty of that shit out there. But that being said, right now, this is the problem with the platforms, is that they're saying, oh, yeah, we're like banning harmful users. It's like, no, yeah, right now you're banning a lot of non-harmful users that are saying things that are getting other people angry because they disagree. And unfortunately, this focus seems to be on this like bullshit emotional argument concept instead of the actual harmful things that are happening on these platforms. All right. Whether it's Tide Pod bullshit or it's child abuse You know,
Right.
like there are actual problems in front of us that people see on social media. And unfortunately, because of the platform thing, they take the PC approach and say, all right, you know, these two people are having a disagreeing political argument. Well, which one should we ban? Which user should we keep on the platform versus which one should? And like it seems to be centered around this like petty emotional discussion. Whereas
Yeah.
I think there's larger problems that we're all starting to see, especially when taking into account, you know, the publisher role that they are growing, and they're assuming this role more and more as the platforms grow.
Yeah. I think that's a good summary. And I just want to say to anybody who's made it this far in the podcast, including Jordan, who's been along for the ride.
See, this has been great.
Jordan's just
I feel like I
sitting
should
here.
clap or
It's like,
something.
oh my gosh.
Jordan's
What did
gonna
we
go
get
on
to?
by himself now, monologue for the next 20 minutes. Wrap up post discussion thoughts.
Guys, I have to bounce like
I know,
right now
I just
because
wanna say to
my
everybody
babysitter's
who's
leaving in a
listened
few
this
minutes,
far-
and if I don't make it home,
To everybody
no
who's
one's gonna take
listened,
care of my kids.
whoever's listened this far, thank you for listening. You're listening to us figure this out in real time. I'd
Real
love to hear
time.
people's thoughts in the comments below.
All right, who should be banned?
We're not trying to tell anybody what
Of
to
the
think.
four of us,
All
who
we're
should be
doing-
banned?
All we're doing is we're sharing what we think.
Sam, you're
who would
right.
make a
That
mo-
is
who-
that is what's going on. You nailed
comment
it at the end
comment
there.
below. Comment
It's-
below on
they're seeing-
who we should ban from the CorridorCast in order to make a more
Right.
peaceful CorridorCast.
That's
Jordan.
Yes,
He didn't say anything.
that is literally what's happening.
Jordan's too nice and agreeable.
I know. But other things are happening too.
That's
Other things
literally
are
what's
also
happening. They're like,
Yeah.
who should we ban? I don't know. What do you think, Greg? I don't know. That's it. You nailed
That's
it.
it. At the end of the day, it's all just for shits and giggles, right?
It's all social media. It's all for them likes. All right.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe,
All right.
guys. Have a good night.
Wow.
That was beautiful,
See you
y'all.
guys later.
Catch you later.
Oh man, I guess
I'm
I'll-
losing
I'll
it.
play this out.
I'm losing
I'll
my
play this
mind.
out.
I'm losing my mind. All right, guys, I'm going to just swiftly begin walking
I respect it.
away. And it was a great chat. Very fiery. Can't wait to talk about Halo more. We're gonna break this Halo crap
You got a
down
little vent
so
in there.
hard.
That must feel good.
No, actually, no. Tomorrow's Bollywood, so we're doing Bollywood, which is even better. I cannot wait to reveal these Bollywood secrets that I've learned. They are so good.
All right. So long, everybody.
Peace.
Thanks for listening.
Later.